preparing to go on yet another camping trip, which means I have a lot of prep work to do, especially when it comes to food, because I want to make sure that while we're at the campground that making our meals is as easy as possible, because I'm not in the comfort of my own kitchen. I'm usually cooking outside, which is pretty fun, but it does have its limitations, and it's a lot harder to wash dishes, and so I try to do as much prep work at home as I possibly can so that it is an enjoyable camping trip and I'm not stressed while I'm trying to cook. I go ahead and wash all of our berries and get those prepped for our camping trip, because it's just a lot easier to do it at home than trying to do it while we're camping. And I also have some bread loaves that we're going to use for several different meals while we're camping, so I'm going to go ahead and slice those, because again, it's easier to do that here at home than it is to try and do it while we're camping. I tried to do that one of the times we went, and the bread knife that I keep in the camper is just no good. I'm pretty sure I got it at the Dollar Tree probably about 6 years ago whenever we got our pop-up camper, and it's just not up to the best standards when it comes to a good bread knife, because you need it to be super sharp to cut your bread without squishing it. I also really love this handy bread slicer guide, because I like to have all of my slices pretty uniform, and I can go ahead and get them all about the same size and put them in a bread bag so that we can use them while we're on our camping trip. Today, I kind of wanted to chat a little bit about something that has been on my heart a bit lately, and that is being distracted. And there are just so many ways that we can kind of look at this topic. And as a homemaker, especially if you have children, you are constantly distracted. You are going from task to task, usually not finishing one task before you move on to the next, trying to multitask. A lot of times we are frustrated, or I should say, as a homemaker, I get frustrated with my children a lot because I want to finish the task that I'm doing, or I don't want to be interrupted whenever I'm trying to concentrate on a new recipe, or whenever I'm trying to make dinner, or whenever I get on a phone call. It just seems like they are always coming at the time that I need to be left alone. But that's just how it is being a mom. And even though it can be frustrating, I think that it's so important to remember that that's our point. The point is to be distracted by our children and to tend to their needs and to be there through all of the distractions that they bring and incorporate them into our daily activities, even though it does take so much more time. To have children help you do stuff in the kitchen, you're going to make more messes. You are going to take probably twice, if not more than twice, as long to complete a meal. And it's not always reasonable to be able to let them help. It's just, sometimes you've got to get dinner on the table. But whenever you can let them help, I think that that is a really good idea, because they want to be a part of the home, and it gives them the sense of importance and belonging to know that they are helping and doing something productive in the home. Another thing that I want to prep for our camping trip is some English muffins. That is one thing that is a really easy breakfast for us to have while we're camping. Is I will prep English muffins, put Canadian turkey bacon on the muffins with some cheese and egg, and then I just pre-wrap those up, and we can heat them up whenever we get there. So I just use my potato flake sourdough English muffin recipe. I did realize that this time I probably should have added a tad bit more flour. They were a little bit more sticky and lumpy than I wanted them, but they still tasted really good. And that's just kind of the thing, is even if I follow my own recipe, there are times that you need to be flexible to make adjustments and add a little bit more flour or add a little bit more water, just kind of depending on how the dough feels. And kind of going along with that, being flexible and being able to make adjustments is, part of being distracted as a homemaker. That is part of it. We have to be able to not get stuck on such a rigid schedule that we cannot alter from it, because I know from experience that just makes it even more stressful, because you're trying to fit a mold that it's just not going to fit in. Trying to put a square into a circle mold, you can't do it. Having a strict schedule as a homemaker is, I wouldn't say impossible, but it is harder, and it will make it harder on yourself to try to do that too. It is just so easy to be distracted whenever you're tending to the needs of children all day, but that is what we're supposed to be distracted by. It's our purpose as parents to, tend to all of their distractions, but in more of a spiritual sense, our purpose is to teach them about God and teach them right from wrong and just how to be imitators of Christ. And if we don't allow our children to distract us, if we ignore them, then how are we going to be able to fulfill the purpose that we have as parents? The Bible speaks clearly about how we should train up our children to be followers of Christ and teach them the Word of God. Being distracted as a parent relates so well to being distracted as a Christian, because we cannot spend every single moment that we have playing with our children. It's just not feasible. We have other tasks that we have to tend to in our home. We have to do laundry, we have to do dishes, we have to cook, we have things that need to get done, but we can involve them in all of those things. And just like that, God doesn't expect us to be praying 24/7. He doesn't expect us to have our Bible open and reading it all of the time. He knows that we have things to do, things that we have to take care of in order to survive and live here on this earth in our temporary home. But what He does expect of us is to live for Him each day in a way that reflects Him. Being a Christian in our day-to-day life and being the Christ-like example to others around us, and that especially means our children, because we're going to be around them the most in our home. Do we allow ourselves to be distracted with good things? We can be distracted from the world and be distracted with good things. It's so easy to be distracted by all the negativity that the world just pushes on us. In today's society, we have so many negative distractions being shown to us through social media, through television, news. You name it, there's going to be some type of negativity thrown at us. Is quite discouraging, but we can choose what we are distracted by being intentional about what we're putting into our lives and what influences us. But we can limit the exposure to the negative influences. We can, spend more time in prayer throughout our day. We can study the Word of Christ so that and memorize it so that even whenever we're not looking at our Bibles, we have it in our minds to think about and to reflect upon. And I think that is just another way that we can go about our days serving Him, even though we may not be sitting down in a formal setting trying to, do a Bible study or be a part of a particular Bible lesson. I am throwing in some laundry while I wait on the English muffins to cool down. And after they cool down, I can slice them with a bread knife, or I kind of like to poke them around with a fork and then pop them open that way. I don't know why, but I feel like the inside has more of that traditional English muffin texture whenever I do it this way. And I'm going to pop these in the freezer so that they will be ready whenever I want to make the sandwiches. I have just stuck them in the fridge before and thought I'll get to them in a day or two, but then I end up forgetting about them, and I'm always so afraid that I'm going to let something go to waste because I've forgotten about it. So I usually try right up front to put it in the freezer if I know that I'm not going to be using it right away. I am making some potato flake sourdough crepes, and I didn't really have anything. I kind of looked around trying to decide what type of the fillings that I was going to put inside, and I didn't really have a lot of what people suggested, and so I just kind of made up my own combination of things. After looking at a few different ideas, I decided I was going to put some strawberry jam inside, drizzle it with some chocolate peanut butter on the top. So I melted some peanut butter and chocolate chips to kind of make a drizzle. So whenever you're making crepes, you want it to be super, super thin. I found that the right amount for my pan was about 1/4 of a cup, and you just kind of pour it in and then spin your pan around until it coats the entire bottom of your pan, and then you want them to be nice and golden brown on each side. It really doesn't take very long, maybe just a minute or so. Then flip it over, let the other side cook, and then repeat the process over and over until you get all of your crepes cooked. I did not count, and I probably should have. I'm not sure how many it made. It was a good amount, probably somewhere around 12-ish if I had to guess. So I spread some of my Neat Neats homemade strawberry jam on the inside. Then I topped it with some homemade whipped cream that I had made for my daughter's birthday, and we had some extra, so I stuck it in the freezer. There's no reason for it to go to waste, so this was a perfect time to use some of that up. Scooped it, put it on the inside, put some strawberries, cut up some bananas and put it on there. Then I fold the crepe over twice, so I have like a little slice of pizza almost. Drizzle it with the peanut butter chocolate chip sauce, I guess you would call it. As you can see, my son is licking whipped cream off of my elbow. He loves whipped cream, and why not? Just let him. It'll be okay. Then I scooped a little bit more of the whipped topping on the top, a few more strawberries and bananas, and it was so good. Definitely more of a dessert than a breakfast, which we had this after dinner. I hope that you will remember that there are good types of distractions, and that you can let yourself be distracted by the good things of the world and eliminate those bad distractions. Thank you guys so much for stopping by. I really am so glad that you were here today. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and I will make more videos like this. See you again soon.